It has been an absolute bloodbath in the crypto and the metal markets the past few days. How are you guys navigating this market decline? I'll give you an update on how I'm trying to navigate this using my algorithms that I'm developing to trade on Paradex and how those algorithms are doing during this huge market decline that we've been seeing. So it's no new news here that the metal markets sold off big time on Friday afternoon. And let's actually pull up the chart here of what that looked like for silver. We could see it's touched about $120 an ounce and then, sold off all the way to less than $80 an ounce in a single day. So that was a 30% move in a single day. This is like unprecedented for a market this large. Both the silver and the gold market sold off pretty hard. Now, a lot of theories going on about what's happening there. Is it manipulation? Is it just overdue for a sell-off because we've had such a long run with the silver bull market so far? But this spilled over into the crypto markets then the next day, and we saw some pretty heavy selling. Now, the crypto markets have already kind of been, not really following this trend with the metal markets the past few months. The whole narrative about Bitcoin being the new digital gold is not really holding up, at least right now. If we take a look at the price, this is daily price chart for Bitcoin the last past year or so, we can see that we're actually approaching our lows for the year. So anyway, as a trader, how can we still make money in an environment like this? So for me personally, doing algo trading, I don't necessarily care if the price is going up or down, right? Do have my long-term investments in some of these coins, but for the purposes of my algo, I want to be able to make money regardless if the market is going up or down, right? And so for right now, the strategy that I've really been focusing on, if you've kind of been following along with me, is developing a market making algorithm. Right now I'm building it on Paradex. I'm currently working on a version that I don't want it to have to go and hedge at another exchange, at least initially, for this current version, because I want to be able to deploy this on a Paradex vault, and which is basically almost like an on-chain hedge fund, because this would allow other investors to also contribute capital to this strategy and allow me to scale it a bit more while being able to offer other investors to be able to kind of participate in the profits. So far so good, actually. I mean, I've been iterating over this over months and months and months, really over the past year on this algo, trying to get to a point where it can still make money in all sorts of market conditions. So the biggest, and another thing too, is I focused on a lot of different assets. So I want this strategy to be able to trade really any asset. I feel like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, those majors are going to probably be tough because there's a lot of competition there, but some of the smaller assets and shitcoins probably be less competition and more opportunity to make money. So I've been focusing mostly on Zcash, trying to get this strategy up and running while testing out on other assets as well at the same time. But I think Zcoin will be the first one I end up deploying this strategy to production with. So right here I've got my Paradex terminal up. You can see the lines on here are the orders for the market making algo. So basically all this strategy is attempting to do is basically, create a market and intelligently put bids and offers out there in such a way that it doesn't get steamrolled when the market starts moving hard in one direction. Now, the thing I have seen so far that's very promising is, over the last few days especially, if you've been following Zcash, and this was like a darling crypto Twitter for the past few months as the price, ran up to, I don't know, what was it, almost $800, is that there was a huge pullback over the last few days. And so my concern was like that I've seen in the past with this algo that I'm developing is if there's a pretty strong trend develops, then the algo starts accumulating on the wrong side, and then the performance just kind of goes to shit. Like it's not going to do well. So that's been my focus, is like in a downtrending market, how do I, or even in an uptrending market, like as a market maker, you're constantly, buying and selling, and usually you're selling into an uptrend and buying into a downtrend. And so how can you minimize your losses if that trend continues? And not only minimize your losses, but the goal is to make money, right? Because the markets are going to trend sometimes. They're going to be kind of range bound other times. Market making algos tend to thrive in range bound markets, but you still want to be able to make money, or at least tread water when the market starts trending pretty strongly. So anyway, I've been encouraged so far by the results of this over the past few days, as Zcoin has trended pretty hard along with all the other coins. So if I pull up a chart here of like the performance over the past week or so, as Zcash has pretty much been in full-on bear mode. The strategy's actually done okay. You can see we're up here, so about 1,700-ish trades, up about 1.25% on the account, with a maximum drawdown so far of about half a percent. You see a pretty steep cliff right here at about the maybe 400 trade mark. And that is when the circuit breaker actually for the strategy kicked in. So basically, if the strategy detects that the price just starts moving like crazy, and it might be like 3% over, a 1 or 2 minute period, it just says, okay, I'm out. I don't know what's going to happen next, but I'm going to let things cool down for a bit. And so basically, it cancels all its orders and it sells off whatever inventory that it has. And right here was actually I think it was right around the U.S. market close on Friday afternoon, and the crypto markets got hit like hard at about that time. And Zcash especially, I don't know, it dropped like 3% in less than a minute. So this thing was just like, I'm out. And so what I saw was basically the bids just disappeared, and I sold right into that, right? The algo sold right into that. And actually kind of like looking at the data of what went on during that time period, the algo actually would have been much better suited just canceling its bids and kind of trying to work its way out of its current inventory rather than just selling it off, into a book that didn't have anybody buying in it. So the price recovered pretty quickly, or at least it stabilized pretty quickly, and then it was a slow recovery. So, but kind of lesson learned there for the future. So overall, though, even though Zcash was in a pretty strong downtrend over the next few days, especially on Saturday was pretty brutal. I think it was down over 10% at one point. We still had some pretty good progress here as far as the equity curve goes. So cautiously optimistic here. I'm going to continue adding some more filters to this to try to, prevent situations like this, or just even in some of these downtrends here. Like the strategy just seems to kill it in some instances where we're just kind of in, game on mode, and then other instances where we're, just trending down for, even 500 trades. So trying to figure out what's going on in those types of market regimes, right? Because if I can identify or create some identifiers for when are we in one type of regime versus another that the strategy thrives in, I might want to pull back on or widen the spreads in those bad regimes, and then just let it do its thing in the regime that it kind of thrives in. So one other interesting stat is taking a look at the markouts here. And markout, if you're not familiar with it, is like, oh, there's the actual fill file. Markouts. So markout basically means how did the strategy do after it got filled? Like, did the price move in your favor or did it move against you? And so positive markout means the price moved in your favor. So maybe you placed the trade, and we got a few different time frames here. So 1 second after we got filled, 5, 15, 30, 60, and 2 minutes. How did the price react? Because basically you don't want to be the sucker, right? Like, you don't want to be buying and then like every time you buy the price drops by 5 basis points after that. So this is kind of a measure of how your strategy is doing, how toxic the order flow is if you're trading on a higher frequency, like a strategy like this. And so what you want to see is markouts that are either slightly negative or positive. If you're consistently running high negative markouts, there's definitely some tuning that can be done here. So overall, given the way that the market was behaving over the weekend, we still ended up with positive markouts across the board, which is pretty good. So right around 1 to 2 basis points depending on the time frame. So I'll stay cautiously optimistic on Zcash here, at least for this for this version of the strategy, while I continue tuning it for some of the other assets that I'm currently testing it out on. So I'm currently, as I said, working towards deploying this strategy to a Paradex Vault. Once I'm got this up and running, I'll let you guys know. The cool thing about the Paradex Vaults is it tracks the P&L over time, so anybody, and it makes it publicly available, so anybody can kind of follow along and see how the actual performance of this thing is doing in real time. And then I can open it up to anybody else that wants to contribute capital to it and come along for the ride with me as I trade this. So would love to hear how you guys are navigating this bear market, especially over the past weekend. What did you guys do to kind of protect yourselves, and do you have a strategy that actually made money during this past weekend? And also would love to hear what sort of algos you guys are doing, or any questions that you have as you're either researching how to do algo trading or building your own algos yourself. So hope you guys are having an awesome week this week, and I will see you guys soon. Later.